Okay, we're live and we're recording. Welcome, everybody, to the Holistic Pet Monthly Teleconference. I'm Sue Ann Session Harmon. I'm a UCB Reiki Master Teacher, Energy Medicine Practitioner, and Animal Communicator. And I'm the owner of Fifth Dimension Healing Energy in Clinton, New Jersey. And I've helped dozens of people and animals in my energy medicine practice over the past 5 years to achieve stress reduction, physical, mental, emotional, and overall healing and wellness and vitality through the safe and gentle practices of energy medicine. And my mission is to help you and your pets become the best version of yourself possible using these safe methods. I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Varangani Cindy Rounsaville. Cindy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Varangani Cindy Rounsaville, and I'm a homeopathic health consultant and educator. My expertise for over the past 30 years has been helping women and men that are interested in using a natural method of healing for themselves, for their families, including their pets, to acquire health and well-being by educating them on how to use homeopathy. I offer homeopathic consultations by phone and also on-site, in person, and I also offer self-help online homeopathic classes for everyday needs. Now, Sue Ann and I have been, I'd say about 5 years we've been professionally have been known each other, but we also have separate businesses. We share a passion of helping pet parents who want to help their pets in a safe and natural way. After several years of referring clients back and forth to each other, we decided to take a more integrative approach and to help pet parents by joining forces and create a holistic pet program. Together, we're able to help pet parents with educational resources. We do monthly teleconference series. We do live educational talks and we also offer a pet premier package, which we'll talk a little bit more to you about that later on. So, Andy, you want to give a little bit of a house cleaning there with the Zoom?
Yeah, so for those who might be joining us on Zoom for the first time or via your computer, we are muting everybody so that we have a clear recording, and you can certainly mute and unmute yourself during the question and answer portion, as well as turn your video on and off. At the bottom of your screen, you may have noticed there's a little black bar. That's your Zoom toolbar, and that's you'll see along the bottom it'll say mute or stop or start video, and that's how you can turn on and off your sound and video if you have distractions in the background at your location. Also, you might note there is a manage participants option there, and if you click on that, you'll be able to see yourself in the list of participants. And if you have a question or need to raise your hand or somehow get our attention, you can flag us by using one of those little icons there. In addition, we have a chat box, and you are able to type into the chat box any questions that you think of during the presentation tonight. We are going to take questions, live questions or pre-submitted questions from people who signed up for the conference, and we'll handle all that at the end of the session tonight. So as you're thinking of things, just go ahead and type in the chat, and then we will get to all those questions at the end of the presentation. And just keep in mind, it is a live webinar, so if you do have distractions, please mute yourself or minimize your video if you need to. Okay, so tonight we are presenting several case scenarios, and the topic is Welcome Home, Acclimating New Pets and Family Members, which is all about preparing for and balancing the dynamics for your family and pets when you are introducing a new pet or a new family member, such as a new baby or a sibling, into your home. Now, in order to facilitate a smooth transition and acclimation for all the people and pets in your situation, it's important to think about and prepare for this significant event. When we introduce a new being, a person or a pet, into our current household, we automatically shift the energetics between and among all of the members, people and pets. So everyone is going to need to adjust in some way to this new balance of energetic beings. So whether this is a new baby coming home, or where your pets were your fur babies, it was you and the pets in the home before, whether you're adopting a child, whether you're bringing a baby home from the hospital, whether you're adding a new pet, it could be a young, old, it could be a rescue, it could be a puppy or a kitten from a breeder. If you're coming into an existing family, there's going to be changes for everybody. For the animals, the pack dynamics will shift. Who's the alpha? What order are they in the pack? Schedules of the people are likely to change. The animals might have to get used to new boundaries. What type of play is acceptable around a new or young child? or areas that they used to be able to freely come and go may be off limits or might have restrictions. So the scenarios are endless. So you just need to look at your own individual situation. But whatever the changes, you can and should prepare your pets ahead of time for this event so that they understand what needs to happen, what expectations of them may need to change, what that new environment's going to be like, bringing that new baby in, maybe the sounds or the smells, the schedules, how much time you're going to have with them, when you're going to be able to be with them while you're also taking care of this new baby, if it's a baby. What things are going to look and feel like to them. And then obviously, and importantly, reassuring them of their place in the family and your continued love and affection for them during this transitional time. And this is where the energy medicine approaches that Cindy and I use can be really valuable, because these vibrations are going to be resonating and different for everybody, for each person and each pet, and energy medicine will be able to address the uniqueness of the challenge for each individual member. So we hope to learn a little bit more about that tonight with us. And as we said before, after the case scenarios, we'll be taking your live questions about some of these topics and about anything we've presented or other questions you have on your mind. So Cindy will start us off with our first case study. Cindy?
So most of my consultations are usually after they brought the baby home or the new pet home. They always call me after the fact. So I commend you or anyone who wants to address this issue now before bringing the pet home or the baby home, because that's very important to have an idea how it's going to happen, how it's going to take place, how the whole family dynamics are going to change. So like I said, I commend you for wanting to do this now. From a homeopathic perspective, homeopathy helps pets transition whether you're bringing home a human baby or a new pet to an existing pet family. I often get calls for animals feeling abandoned they'll feel, or they'll feel jealous they'll feel, or there's even bullying going on, or they're frightened, anxious. So this can happen between, new pet coming in, then the new pet could be bullying the other animals, or the other animal could be bullying. And I've also seen, as far as abandonment, also with the new baby coming in and feeling the pet itself would feel abandoned. So I want to first start off with acclimating your pets to a boarding or vacation away from home. So I'm going to give it as a case scenario. So my client calls up telling me that her 1-year-old Cocker Spaniel cries when she goes to work, goes to the store. Every time she's leaving the house, her puppy is crying, and also has been following her around the house all day. She says, I can't even go to the bathroom without him even wanting to come in. So I asked her if she always has been doing this. What I'm looking for is etiology. Never well since what I'm looking for. So my client stated that she's a very friendly dog, but more recently she's been much more clingier in the last few months. So this has been going on, she stated, ever since her dog has spent the weekend at a kennel. Now this is, puppy's only 1 year old. This is the first time he went to the kennel. So he's like a little freaked out. So what we have done is I put him on a homeopathic remedies. Now remedies, for those who are not familiar with, remedies come into, you may recognize as the boron blue tube. You may recognize them as. But when we go to dispense homeopathic remedies, we're putting them into a dropper bottles for animals. So this is filtered or distilled water, 1 ounce of water. This is a 1 ounce dropper bottle. And then you add your pellet to the bottle. We would do what we call succussing. Every time you're going to give the remedy to the animal, you're going to tap the bottle 10 times. You're going to put a drop or so on its nose or somewhere on its body. That's how you would administer the remedy. You can put it into a bowl, but it has to be a separate drinking bowl from what the regular drinking water is. The reason is because if they don't need that remedy, they're not going to drink that water. So they have to have their own separate waters for drinking. So after giving the homeopathic remedy for abandonment, so the animal is feeling abandoned. After giving for abandonment, once a day, he would get this. Within a couple of days, she wasn't following her around as much. She was able to leave the room the owner was, or eventually leave the house without the puppy crying as she was leaving the door. So the abandonment can be also for a pet that has been in a household for several years and now has a newborn coming in. So in other words, so let's say how do I say this? You've had a dog you've had, or a cat you've had, or just you and your significant other in the home 2, 3, 4 years, and all of a sudden, wow, you decided to have a baby. So that animal is going to feel abandoned because, hey, what am I, chopped liver? That's what it's going to feel like. So this way, that needs to be addressed, because what happens is, you'll hear from Sue Ann and I, they're going to start having other issues. They're going to start having pain, different things they'll be exhibiting. They will be. So homeopathy works by matching the pet or the person's symptoms to what's called a homeopathic remedy symptom picture. If you're familiar with homeopathy, you know the remedy Arnica montana. So Arnica's remedy symptom pictures for sore, achy muscles, bruising. So when a pet or a person has sore, achy muscles, you give them Arnica montana. The Arnica stimulates the immune system, so the immune system does the healing. And that's how homeopathy works. It's the immune system does the healing. The remedy just prompts the immune system, and the immune system does all the healing. Sue Ann, would you like to add or share with us a story for you?
I do, yeah. I have a pretty good case study of a client of mine who was going to be long-term boarding, so for about a week, maybe a little bit more, at a bed and biscuit. So this woman had 5 Maltese, older dogs, right? And they had planned to go on a vacation. She was actually going overseas. So I think she was actually gone about 10 days, staying at a lovely bed and biscuit where, you know, dogs have their own rooms, and it's a lovely environment. There's great, you know, fields and lots of private care. And so just a very loving and, you know, awesome facility to have to board if you have to board your pets, you know, outside your home. And so all of these dogs were older, as I said, and 3 of the 5 actually had some kind of a disability. So one was blind, a couple had diabetes, some had physical limitations, and they were all extremely hyper and anxious. Now, a lot of this goes back to a root cause where both the dogs and the owner were still feeling quite a bit of emotional trauma over having lost sibling dogs in a fire at the owner's home a year prior, and then also, unfortunately, from some kind of neglect by an at-home pet sitter from a prior vacation she had taken a few years back. So they were still having a lot of issues related to those 2 incidents, and so with this trip, there was an awful lot of stress on both the dogs and the owners about what this boarding experience would be like. So when she contacted me and explained the history, what we did was we coordinated ahead of time. We did an animal communication session ahead of her planned boarding so that we could tune in with those animals and really give them a heads up and really explain to them, you know, that there was this trip coming up and basically what was going to happen. So we told them the plan. We said, you know, you're going to be at this lovely facility, and we described what the facility was like, and the room, and the staff, and what the schedule would be like, that they would have their own food, and all their medications would be there, and they would be getting all the care that they would if their pet mom was going to be there. They would be on the same kind of schedule, that these people were going to be watching out for them, and then it was going to be, you know, a very nice time for them. We also had planned during this session to actually have me connect with the animals and offer them some Reiki. So Reiki healing energy was going to be part of the plan while they were away. So we let them know that was going to be coming, and I would be reconnecting with them during the time they were at the boarding. And then we also prepared to have a special flower essence prepared for them that would really very specific to their unique needs, all 5 dogs, and we were able to bring that to the B&B. And you know, the B&B staff was able to use that as well. So, and we texted owners, the owner updates. We made sure that, you know, she could see how well they were doing. We took some pictures and videos during the week. So, you know, after I would come and do a treatment, or after I would have a treatment, the staff would take a picture and just let her see, you know, how relaxed they were and that they were enjoying their time there. And so that worked out really well because we were able to provide a lot of peace of mind to the owner, and the dogs were getting a lot of stress reduction and a lot of care specific to their unique needs. And when she came back from her trip, 10 days later, she was really amazed at how calm they were, because when they went in the door, you know, they were dropped off. Of course, they were still quite anxious. Even though we had done the communication, they still weren't quite sure what to expect. But as we settled in and we did our routine and we did our energy modalities and the flower essences and all the great love and care and support they got from the staff there, it was a really, really positive experience. And they knew when mom was coming back, so they knew when to expect that, and that they'd be going back to their routine at home. So all in all, a really good scenario of giving them a heads up and supporting them during that potentially difficult transition time. So I talked about 3 modalities in that particular case study. So if you're not familiar, animal communication is telepathic and empathic communication. It's really matching the vibration of myself as a communicator with the animal, and then perceiving and receiving information through sensory forms. So this could be in the form of feelings, words, a knowing, pictures, sounds, smells. It's a little bit like being a UN translator. It is, you know, kind of taking the information from the pets and then translating it into human speak so that I can explain to my clients what the animals are trying to communicate or what they're feeling or what information needs to be exchanged. I also talked about Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese healing art for deep relaxation and stress reduction. And it can be done in person or over distance. And animals connect to this energy quite quickly because animals live in the state of energy. They communicate through energy. Energy is the language they speak, and they read energy, so they understand positive and negative energy as well. And they connect very quickly, and they are able to rebalance their energies through that Reiki healing energy. So stress reduction and relaxation, and then rebalancing of energy patterns in their physical and mental, emotional bodies. And then finally, I talked a little bit about flower essences, and those are similar to homeopathy. When we get the essences or just give them to you, they come in this little blue cobalt dropper bottle. It is colored glass to protect the vibration of the flower essences in here. And then sometimes we also do it in a little mister spray bottle. We tell you to take some drops of flower essence and put them in some spring water and then make a little mister out of it. But this is pure vibrational medicine. It's literally information in a bottle. We're not using the aromatherapy or anything like the essential oils. They don't actually smell like flowers. And they are taking that divine healing wisdom that every plant that's in that essence has evolved and survived and thrived over millennia of solving the challenges in its environment. And all those healing clues are present in that vibration of the flower essence. And then when you take that flower essence by putting some drops in your water or putting some on your hand or in a mister bottle and petting them into the pet's fur or on the nose or a separate water bottle and they drink it, then they are taking up those clues into through their electrical field, into their energy body, and able to use that information to rebalance. So they are very handy to use, they're very simple to use, and they're very adaptable to using with pets. Like Cindy said, you know, you just have to get it on their body at some point and just keep seeding those healing clues in. And again, animals are very open to that because they're very easy to use. They don't smell or taste really anything like that. So they're easy to work into any existing routine that you have with your pet. All right, so we have another case scenario. We want to talk now about specifically when you're bringing a new animal into your home. So clients will often call me and want to know if their current pet would like a brother or sister, especially if it's a single animal household and maybe a prior sibling has passed away, or maybe they are the first animal they've had and the parents work a lot and they're not sure exactly, is my pet feeling lonely? Like, wouldn't it be better if you had a friend? And I say, that's a lovely thing because it's really great to ask that question ahead of time, because then you can understand if they have preferences and get their buy-in. Or you might actually want to understand if they do not want a sibling and why that is. What are they concerned about? Sometimes we think they're lonely, but in fact, they might actually enjoy being the only pet and getting all the attention, right? So either way, it's very good to ask, and then you can plan accordingly and take their needs into account. And I've had clients share with me, no, I don't want a brother, I want a sister. No, I prefer a younger pet, or no, I don't get me a puppy or a kitten. I'm past that stage. I want a more mellow, older animal. So you'd be surprised at, what their preferences are, but it's always good to ask, and we can do that through an animal communication session. And sometimes, you don't have a lot of time to prepare. You're rescuing a stray or an injured animal, or there might be just little or no choice about bringing in a new pet. Maybe a family member has passed away, or they're no longer able to care for the pet, and you need to take them in. Same thing. The animal communication session can really help, explain to the pet what's happening and why this new pet is arriving. And then you can kind of get into what their concerns are, and then try to help adjust the environment and the dynamics accordingly. Because things will change when we bring a new animal in, right? How many sleeping beds? Are there going to be one bed per pet? Are they going to share a bed? If it's cats, are they going to have multiple litter boxes? What about personal and safe spaces? If they acclimate to each other, everybody needs a safe space that's their own, right? So they can adjust. What about the time and affection they're going to be getting from the family members? Now, is it going to be less, the same, or the pet's going to be together a lot, or they're going to be separate? So all of these things will impact the dynamics and the routines in the household, and it's important to get the pets buy-in and sort of bring them on board with what's happening and find out what their concerns are so they can also adapt smoothly. And again, things like we talked about with our first case, besides the communication, Reiki can be very helpful for de-stressing that situation and reducing the anxiety and helping address any concerns. Flower essences will for sure be helpful to address that transition and can be used on a daily basis to keep the energy flowing and smoothing out as everybody learns their place in the pack. Cindy, I think you might have another story about this too, bringing a new animal into the home.
Yes, I do. This is where I mostly get the kind of calls. So when a new pet comes in with an existing pet, everyone has to find their role, their place in the pack. We mentioned about that before. As I say, their pecking order, they have to find the family dynamic shift. So a lot of times what I was seeing is that you want to make sure that, there's a new pet happy or the other pet's not happy. You want to make sure everybody's all in harmony there. And that's where the communication would come in to let them know, hey, we're going to bring somebody else in, like Sue Ann mentioned. So what I look for, and when I get a case like that, when a new animal's coming in, I look for, is the pet feeling intimidated? Is the pet bullying other pets, or is it being bullied? Is the pet eating other pets, the other animal's food? Is the pet acting aggressive towards the other animals or other people? I've even seen new pets or existing pets get aggressive with people, with their owners. I've seen that way. Is the pet peeing or pooping in places other than where it's supposed to? So the case I'd like to bring forward tonight is that the client calls me up telling me that her neighbor passed away, and she has taken in her 5-year-old male cat, Jasper. She already has 2 cats. My client already had 2 cats, a 7-year-old cat with Fluffy, and a 2-year-old female cat, Kichi, which seems to be, Kichi seems to be okay with Jasper because Kichi's only a couple years old. And she's looking for a playmate. Fluffy could care less about Kichi all along. Kichi's more of a problem to Fluffy. She's much an older cat. So Kichi sees Jasper as a playmate, since Fluffy does not bother with her. However, Fluffy, on the other hand, seems to have a problem adjusting to Jasper. Jasper has started bullying Fluffy by running after her and eating her food. Fluffy hisses at Jasper and then backs off. After giving a homeopathic bullying remedy, I actually give it to both cats. You would give it to, because they're both bullying each other in some way they are. So after giving a homeopathic remedy once a day, and with 10 succussion, we would tap that bottle 10 times, give a dose on the body somewhere. Within 2 to 3 days, the bullying started to lessen. And they continued on the remedies until both cats stopped bullying one another. So, like I said, bullies, there's a bully and there's a guy who's being a victim of bullying. In this case, I don't know which one who was the victim, but they both were at each other. So, Angie, would like to share the next case scenario about bringing home a new baby?
Yeah, and this is a sort of a similar thing, right? We're just flipping the coin. We're bringing now a new baby or a new person into the home, right? And so we want to help set expectations, and we want to also uncover concerns on the part of your animal. So a case I'll share with you was a client of mine had 2 rescue dogs, she and her husband, and they were her fur babies, and they had these dogs for several years. And the dogs were very close to both the couple, and they had to run the house, and they could go on the furniture, and they just basically had 100% of mom and dad's attention. And this couple had been pregnant, a couple of times, but unfortunately had not had the babies, had lost the babies. And the dogs were also very aware of this. So part of the reason they were protective is they were aware that they were trying to get pregnant, and they were just very close knit foursome. Well, when they finally got pregnant and the new baby was ready to be born, this is going to be a big shift for everybody. Obviously, the parents and the pets. We had to work on a plan to help acclimate the dogs. So again, as we talked about earlier, we were able to do animal communication, and ideally, if you can do this, several weeks or months ahead of the arrival date, the anticipated arrival date, it's a good thing because it might take a couple of sessions to sort of go through all of the things that may be changing and checking in with the pets. So, we explain, what's going to change. This room is now the baby's room. This room, you're not going to be able to go in here. You're not going to be able to go in the crib. You can stand at the door. You can be here when we're here, but you can't be here when the baby's in here by itself. We had to talk about, toys. The baby's going to have toys, and those are the babies, and you have your own toys, and the baby's not going to take your toys, and you're not going to take the baby's toys. Things that will, there'll be smells, there'll be sounds, our, sleeping time and our waking time and our eating time. All of those things are likely to change, and and just telling them basically what was going to be different and how, to the best of their knowledge, right? Because every situation is going to be different, but just things they would need to know about this baby. And reinforcing that, that deep love and care for the dogs, that were still important, that they would still get love and attention and food, and they would still have their special place. But we all have to adjust to this new baby. So, we're doing all that ahead of time. Then the big day comes, right? So we want to prepare them for the big day. What's that going to be like? Mom and dad are going to come home, and we're going to have the baby, and the baby is going to have, a carrier, and it's going to have, a bed, and we're going to do these things. And a lot of people are going to come by and, come to visit the baby, and, we go through like what the schedule is going to be like. So in a communication plan, what we would like to do ideally is prepare them ahead of time, kind of give them a heads up right before the big day is best that they're coming home with the baby as best as they can, and then do maybe a check-in or two over the course of the next couple of weeks and months after the baby has arrived, just to reinforce any boundaries or positive behaviors or address any situations that haven't maybe gone so smoothly. And I would also work in those sessions around Reiki. Same thing, to help reduce the stress and the anticipation, the anxiety about getting ready for this baby. That's going to bring up some anticipation feelings, maybe some anxiety, maybe some of the feelings like Cindy talked about will come up, abandonment or jealousy or neediness or, aggression, or any of those things can come up in that scenario as everyone's getting ready for the transition and the acclimation. So, we can also work with those flower essences like we talked about. We can use things like the emotional freedom technique to help with any patterns or break any stress cycles that are there. So we have a lot of energy medicine techniques that we can work in, unique to you and your family and your situation. But this situation worked out wonderfully. They had a very successful transition and acclimation. Now the dogs, and have been since the baby was a month or two old, act like a babysitter, and they basically keep watch over the baby, and nobody steals anybody else's toys, especially now the baby's a little older and walking around. The dogs know where the baby's going to get fed, and they can get some scraps, so that's a good thing. So they actually make it a little more food now because the child throws them on the floor when he's eating. But everybody's less stressed. The parents are less stressed because the behavior of the dog is appropriate and it's loving toward the baby, and the baby's not stressed out or afraid of the dogs. Everyone has acclimated. The baby actually sees the dogs just like siblings, right? He doesn't know any better. He just sees their friends and they're around when he's playing or watching TV or eating. So everybody is just coexisting in a very peaceful and harmonious way and safely between the baby and the dogs, and that's exactly what we want. Little or no jealousy, and everybody feeling safe, and everybody having their place harmoniously in the family. Cindy, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I would like to. So from a homeopathic perspective, we always have to ask questions. We have to get some information. So some of the questions you would ask, how the pet is reacting to the baby, or to the existing animals. Or is it a new pet coming into the household? So does the pet run and hide every time the baby cries? Or is the pet skittish? Does it feel like it tiptoes around the new baby? Is the pet feeling anxious or frightened from the crying baby or other pets coming around them? Does the pet follow you around very clingy? We've talked about this before in the case scenario. Does the pet cry or whimpers at night, or overeating, which is looking for comfort? So when the whole idea in asking questions, because it was over 3,000 homeopathic remedies, we got to find some way to narrow the list down and selecting the correct remedy. We have to know if it's anxiety. They're looking at anxiety kind of remedy. Is it abandonment? I'm looking at abandonment kind of remedies, what I've been looking for. So it's another way to kind of hone in on the actual group of remedies I'll be selecting a remedy from. So the case that I want to share with you today is that my client tells me her cat seems to be skittish around the baby. Like I said before, tiptoes around the baby, checks the baby out, and runs and hides when the baby cries. Well, it's new sounds. It's a new sound to that cat. This is a case of curiosity and anxiety. New sounds, loud noises. You know how a baby can be. They can be a little bit of a shrill of a cry sometimes it can be. So after giving a homeopathic anxiety remedy once a day, within a few days, that cat was less skittish, and it was less likely to be running around when the baby cries. So like I said, when a client calls me, I always have to ask, what is going on? How is the animal acting? What makes it better? What makes it worse? So when a baby's crying, what is happening? So those are the kind of things I need to kind of hone in on to select the remedy. So now that we've covered some of the more common cases your pets can experience related to acclimating to the new home or the newborn, let's circle back around and ask why you're here in the first place with us tonight. And that's to help you and your pet get and stay healthy in a safe and natural way. So often when something goes wrong, we just want a quick fix or that so-called cure we're looking for, or want to, or how can I say this, or want a way to how to achieve it. So in energy medicine, like in homeopathy, Reiki, other integrative health approaches, we're seeking to rebalance the body systems, the energy field, in order to bring optimal health and wellness. So there are 3 signs of health, is what this really means. There's 3 signs of health. Number 1, increased or balanced energy. So the pet's energy needs to be either increased, in other words, if it's like sleeping, tired, it's lethargic, you need to increase the energy. If it's a wild animal, like, like running around, like a puppy running around, we need to balance that out. Yes, kittens and puppies are going to run around, but there's also a balance to that too. Number 2, the pet exhibits more of a well-feeling mentally, emotionally. So instead of being, like we talked about the cat here, instead of being skittish, now the cat's a little more curious, comes around the baby, looking to see what's really going on. That's what you've been looking for, a little more adjusted. The 3rd cycle is sleep cycles have to improve, or also more appropriate for who they are according to their age and species. And when all of this happens, the pet's body systems, digestion, elimination, appetite, all function normally in an appropriate way. And this is how we bring balance back into the body, back into the immune system again. Sue-Ann?
Yeah, and so thank you for that, Cindy, because it's really important. Sometimes we are looking for that quick fix, and we're just scattershotting around too. One thing doesn't work, and we try it for a little while, and then we give up, and we try the next thing and the next thing, and then we're not really sure if we're making progress, and it could be very frustrating as a pet owner. So that's actually one of the other reasons why we figured that you might be with us tonight, is maybe you are looking for a more holistic, more integrative approach, and that's really what we do. That's why we're here. That's why we created this holistic pet program. We want you to help get your pet back into balance and wellness faster, and so that they can have a better quality of life and everyone can be more harmonious and just enjoy their life a lot better. So, and you're certainly welcome to work with us individually, but we also created this holistic pet program with the idea that an integrative service approach would probably be a good service to our clients. So would it be okay if I told you a little bit about that?
Please do.
Yeah, let me just share my screen here for a second. I'll try to put something up while we're talking. There's my... All right. So while I'm talking, I'm just going to put up these slides. So we created this holistic pet package. You can see that on the screen now. And what it is a combination of our services. So this will include 3 different services. It includes animal communication session, it includes a homeopathic consult with the remedies, and it includes an animal energy medicine session. And each of those is about a 30-minute treatment or session with your pet. The animal communication is a 30-minute communication session, but it also includes what we call a pre-brief, so prior to the communication session, and then a post-session debrief with me, telling you what happened in the session. And we have to schedule that session first, because that is actually where we're going to get a lot of clues about what is going on with your animal, what does your animal think about it, what's their perspective, and that will inform a lot of what we do in the other 2 services, which will be the homeopathic consult and the energy medicine treatment. The energy medicine treatment can be several different things. It can be a Reiki session. We talked about Reiki tonight. It can be an animal EFT, emotional freedom technique. It could be even energy balancing. It could be a flower essence session. So lots of different ways that we can work with the energy medicine based on what your pet in its uniqueness needs in the situation that you're trying to address. And then finally, a homeopathic consult with Cindy. So again, it's going to be a 30-minute homeopathic phone consult. It's going to have 2 15-minute check-in calls, and it's going to include your remedies. And these are all done on the phone or distance. You don't have to bring your pet anywhere, so they're very easy to schedule. They're very easy to get into your schedule, so we can get the help your pet needs as soon as possible. And for all of our live talks, and like the teleconference here and our live programs, we offer a discounted rate for that. But you need to book that package with us within the next 48 hours from today's program. And again, here's a little reminder. So we are including animal communication, animal energy medicine, and the homeopathic consult. And once you book your package with us, we'll be in touch with you. We'll have some client paperwork, and then we'll get your session scheduled. The great thing about this is you don't have to do it all at once. You have 3 months to use the services, all 3 of the services, and you can use them for more than one animal. So no Sophie's choice here. If you have several pets and you have concerns about each one of them, some of them can be combined. You can do a group animal Reiki session or even an animal communication session. With 1 animal per consult for homeopathic, because it's a very detailed consultation. So Cindy needs all that time to work with that one particular pet. But we will, get all the paperwork out to you and then get your sessions on there. And then we are collaborating on the session so that we're sharing that information so that what happens in one session with animal communication, Cindy can be aware of to help inform her homeopathic consult. And then she'll also be aware of what's happening with the energy medicine side. So that's a little bit about the Premier package, and I'm going to turn it back over to Cindy. Again, feel free to type any questions here into the chat. I think we might have had a question or 2 submitted ahead of time, so why don't we just stop the share here and then we'll go try to take some questions. So if you have any questions that came in ahead of time, Cindy, that you might want to just go through briefly here while we're waiting.
All right, let's see here. So do I have to go to my veterinarian before I come and see you first? It depends on what the situation is. If we had a case we had that Sue and I both had worked with, a colleague of ours, her Labradoodle had a mass in his lungs and was having heavy breathing. And what happened is that it was heavy breathing. She took the animal to the vet, and the vet said had a mass in his lungs. And that's what was causing the breathing problem. So then she came to me and asked, can you do something about it? And I said, well, I'll see what we can do. It's a mass, it was inoperable. That's why the vet had no idea what else to do with them. It's inoperable. I said, well, we can try something. If nothing else, I can at least make him comfortable. And if it actually is his time. So there's a time when you have a clinical diagnosis. I'm sure Sam would do the same thing, is that if you're working with an animal and it's not improving, I'd be the first one to say, yes, go get a clinical diagnosis to kind of see what really is going on. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see. We're guessing sometimes if you don't know what the problem really is. What happened? We also had back with that question, I'd like to say is that we had somebody who did our Pet Premier package. She actually came to one of our live events. And what happened was that she had gone to the vet. And the vet had said that, I don't know what's wrong with the animal. I ran all kinds of tests. I don't know what's wrong. And what actually happened is that the dog was very weak. He was lethargic, was very clingy. And what's like Sue Ann mentioned is that when you purchase a Pet Premier package, what you're looking to do is an animal communication first. You kind of see what really is going on there. When Sue Ann did the communication with the animal, they came back saying that he did not like the boarding place. So the woman was yelling a lot. And the owner was quite surprised that, the dog felt that way about the boarding place, because every time she would go to pick the puppy up, he was always very happy to be picked up, very happy. It seemed like he really enjoyed being at the kennel where he was at and everything. So then that's when I came in with the homeopathic consultation. I always look for etiology. What happened prior? And that's why I asked, when did the weakness start? And the owner said, well, she's thinking back, it happened before his sister passed away. And then she remembered that both of them actually had gone to a boarding place for 2 days. They had to go someplace for the weekend. And they took him to this boarding house they took him to. And when they went to pick the puppy up, this particular puppy up, he could not walk. She literally had to carry the puppy out of the boarding place. She had to carry him out of. And we come to realize ever since that time is when the puppy was not feeling well. So with the animal communication happened is that, we come to realize he was talking about the wrong place. He was talking about wasn't the place that you normally take. He was at this other place. And even the pet owner even called the kennel, that place, and asked them, has anything happened? Oh, and everything else been fine. So the dog was, he was traumatized. He was traumatized from the woman yelling. And what happened was he became very clingy to the owner, afraid it was going to happen again. Like, don't leave me again, that kind of a thing. So once we worked with the remedy, within a couple of days, the clinginess improved within a few days. And he started acting more like himself. So yes, the clinical diagnosis is important to have in times, but there's sometimes that, like you said, usually when a vet cannot find out what the problem is, usually something emotional is usually what has happened. Let's see another question that we have here. Let's see. Do I usually need to take more than one session or treatment to see results? Well, from a homeopathic perspective, like the examples, all the examples I've given you guys today, is that usually within 2 or 3 days you're seeing improvement. I don't mean like the symptoms are gone, but you see improvement. Like they're less clingy, or they're less skittish. They may still, the cat may still run every time the baby cried very loudly, but if the baby was just kind of like cooing or something like that, he may be a little more curious, may not be running so much. So it really depends on the situation. If it was an injury, I'd be looking for a change within 24 hours, or more like an injury I'd be looking for. So Randy, want to add anything to that? What you'd be looking for? What have you seen? And
yeah, it's similar. It depends, right? I guess is the answer, because there are certain protocols that we recommend for animal Reiki. Depending on whether we're working on what you would call an acute case, or injury or illness, we might do more sessions, right, more frequently. So, example, we might be doing them, 2 to 3 times a week over the course of a couple of weeks to help rebalance. If your pet's going in for surgery, I often recommend to people to do a session ahead of time going to the surgery, trying to offer the Reiki either during or right after the surgery, and then doing at least another session or 2 within a couple of days after the surgery, all to help the body rebalance and recover and start the self-healing process. With flower essences, the shifts are sometimes more subtle because we're working up at the higher layers in our energy field, so mental, emotional, and spiritual. And then when those things rebalance downstream, we will then start to see some improvement if there's physical level challenges that go along with that. Reiki works at all different levels, and I have seen cases where one Reiki treatment, completely shifts and rebalances a pattern, and they don't need another one. But I have seen other cases that are a lot more ingrained, or there's just chronic stress or chronic illness, and then you're definitely better off trying to schedule several sessions, even if you space them out every couple of weeks or every month. And not for nothing, even when things are going well, people say, well, nothing's wrong, I don't need that. And I say, well, you probably have a wellness plan, right? If you're holistic minded, you probably do some maintenance work to make sure that you stay healthy. And the same can be said for your pets. How nice is it to offer them a relaxing energy treatment with Reiki or rebalancing or flower essences while you're grooming them to keep them healthy and well along the way, to avoid any problems in the first place. So, we can space these things out. We can use them in single file, or we can pull them up alongside anything else that's going along and work them into a routine. So it really does depend on the nature of the imbalance as to how frequently you would do it. In the case of Reiki or the meridian rebalancing. And then watching the shifts and trying to get a pattern. Okay, they seem like they're more relaxed or they're better. And then you start to see how long it takes them before they get stressed out again. Will give you an indication of an interval that you might want to work with. So some things with Reiki have a more prescribed protocol just to keep the healing path going and the rebalancing going. And some things we can sort of just do situationally depending on what your needs are.
Another question we often get is, what happens if my vet does not believe in holistic approaches? So yes, I do get that quite often. It's really up to you. It's really up to you. What you want to share and what you don't want to share. You know how your vet is. I would say is if what the vet is doing is not working, or you need some other support, then there's nothing wrong with trying any one of our approaches, or any healing modality, whether it be acupuncture or it may be. There's nothing wrong with trying or using other tools in your toolbox to support what's going on there. If you feel that your animal is your vet is receptive, then by all means share. Sometimes they are. like in this case here, I talked about with the dog that went to the different boarding place. You know, the vet threw his hands up. He didn't know what else to do for the animal, and he actually told the woman to actually go see some holistic, go maybe something holistic that can kind of help and see what's really going on, because he you know, they all want to help. They all want to help. So what happens is that, you know, I'm sure when she went back to the vet, she probably told him what she has done. And in this way, the vet would have embraced something like that. Sometimes they don't, you know, they don't embrace it because they feel we're threatening, you know, taking business away from them. But it's like I said, we all have our place. We all have our place that we do. Is there anything you want to add to that, or?
No, I think you did say that well. And it is holistic. It's complementary, right, medicine. So we can, as I said, pull up alongside anything your traditional vets are doing to support that work. Sometimes, you know, what they're doing is working, but then it hits a block, right? We see that a lot of times. And as Cindy said, a lot of times when things are stuck or blocked or it's not working, it's because we have to work at a different level. So that might be dealing with the physical symptoms, right? And doing medications or surgery or some other therapies, but really where the healing is stuck is at the emotional level. And that's where your energy medicine-based techniques can really be a good ally, because those modalities work at those other layers and levels, can help that rebalance. And then when that pattern has rebalanced and the energies are flowing correctly and in the right direction for those layers and levels, now the physical level can pick back up where it left off and continue the healing path. So we do have to really be mindful that, you know, we are more than just our physical bodies, us and the animals, and we do get stuck at different layers and levels, and that can all impact the speed of our healing path and our ability for self-recovery to take place. Do you have any other questions? Or
well, what I want to say is that, you know, Sue Ann's and I, you know, some of you guys may not be like locally where we live at. So our services are offered remotely. I do phone consultations, like I said earlier. And Sue Ann's sessions are also done remotely. But what comes to my mind, Sue Ann, is that, would you mind sharing? We have a little bit more time. I don't have any more questions here, unless anybody else has any question they want to ask. But would you mind sharing that story? We were just talking about the other day, over the week we were talking about that how your sessions work remotely, yes, and how.
Yeah. This is one of my actually one of my first clients, and her the pet mom called me because although she was very familiar with Reiki, you know, being a Reiki practitioner herself, she wasn't really quite sure about how it would work with animals. She just really didn't have the experience around whether that would work or not. But really what she was looking for was this older dog, 13, 14 years old, small breed. And she was really looking to get more quality of life for her pet. But her pet had really lost a lot of mobility. She had advanced arthritis in the hips and legs. She had also a lot of emotional stress because the dog had lost a lot of confidence walking, going up and down the stairs in the house, going on walks because of all the stiffness and the inflammation in her legs. Now, she went to the vet and she did get a lot of anti-inflammatories and she was on quite a bit of medication, but her owner, being more holistic, wasn't really convinced that was the long-term healing path she wanted to be on, but she needed to give her some kind of relief. So she said, well, what do you think about Reiki? So we said, sure, let's give it a try. Reiki is great for animals. It's very good for reducing stress and anxiety, which clearly there was some because the pet was getting very anxious now about going anywhere, walking anywhere outside the house, definitely couldn't walk up and down the stairs by itself. So we scheduled several distance Reikis. This dog was not going to be well traveled to get in the car to come see me. So we just decided, let's just do distance Reiki. That would be the most effective way. So we scheduled sessions, and what I did was we really just made an appointment like I would with a person. I said, let's say tune in at 10 o'clock in the morning, you know, here's the 3 or 4 days. We tried to do it 2 to 3 days a week the first couple of weeks because we really wanted to get a good healing push moving. We wanted to get that rebalancing going. We wanted to get that stress down, and then we also wanted the body, through taking in that Reiki healing energy, to start reducing that inflammation and improving some mobility and flexibility, and working on the emotional level as well around that, you know, confidence and feeling safe again in her body. And so we went on that path for a couple of weeks. We had scheduled sessions, and she was working at home, so she could be around and kind of see that, you know, progress was being made. She could see the dog would be relaxed at the time of the treatment. She would curl up in her little bed, and she would basically just take a little nap, and then she would be really relaxed and happy and, you know, a little more energized after each session, and starting to get more mobility back. Great. So the client ended up having to take a couple of business trips, so she had to leave and travel. And so she said to her husband, we have these Reiki sessions scheduled, and, our girl, she needs to, don't distract her, don't take her for a walk. Here's the appointment schedule. This is when she's going to be getting her sessions. And her husband was kind of like, I don't know about all this. That seems a little woo-woo-y to me. I don't know if this is all good or not. I mean, he definitely had noticed she had some improvement, but he wasn't sure he would necessarily have accredited it to the energy work that we were doing. So the client leaves, travels on her trip. We have our scheduled appointment coming up, and her husband decided, I'm just going to test this. So their dog apparently was very food motivated. You take a treat out of the bag, and she'd make her way over there, and didn't matter what was in the way. She was going to get that treat. That was her mission. Wanted that treat, loved the smell, loved the taste. Very, very motivated by food. So at the appointed time, when it was time for the Reiki treatment, the energy healing to start, the dog got in her bed, started to snuggle in, relax, get ready, very much expecting and wanting that Reiki treatment. And the husband decided he would do the test. So he took the food treat and he shoved it right under her nose, and nothing happened. She didn't blink, she didn't budge, she didn't sniff. It was like he wasn't even there. So he thought, okay, maybe there's something going on here. Is there something more important to her right now than this treat? So my client was nice enough to share that story with me a week or so after she got back, because he fessed up and told her, this is kind of what happened, and he couldn't believe it. He was like shocked that, she reacted that way. But he also had to admit he was noticing her more, mobile. She was more interested in going for walks in the yard and up and down the street. She was actually trying and getting up and down the stairs, and, it was really a good result. So distant Reiki can be very, very effective. Energy medicine is really effective with pets because pets breed and live in the world of energy. So they don't need all the constructs that we do. They don't have to go someplace to get energy. They just can connect with energy when they feel good energy, like healing energy, such as Reiki, comes in contact, and with the intention and the focus of loving and helping, supporting them to self-heal, they take it in and they connect very quickly, and they rebalance a lot faster than we do as humans. So it's a funny story.
Yeah, it's a cute one. I like that story.
Thank you. All right.
Any other questions? Anybody else have any other questions?
I'm not seeing anything else in the chat, so I think we'll wrap up maybe a few minutes early. So this is our conference for tonight. We'll be wrapping that up. You will all be getting an email with details on the Premier Pet package in your inbox. And don't forget, if you want to sign up for this package in the next 2 days from this live conference to get the Premier Pet discounted rate that we're offering for live events, please take action. You'll definitely get all those details in your inbox. And we also want to invite you to join us again next month, June 12th, for the final scheduled conference in this series. And this one is called Serene Seniors, Quality of Life for Aging Pets. And that'll be a great topic for all of you who have older animals and are wondering about natural and safe ways to help them improve their life, get quality of life, and even we'll probably be talking about things like palliative care too, if it is getting to be near their time to transition. So we hope to see you on Zoom and talk to you all then. And I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. So everybody have a great night. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.